Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Prepping by Faith, and if you're new here, I really appreciate you stopping by and giving my channel a chance. So what I wanted to discuss with you guys today is this one thing that I think is going to be critical in any SHTF situation. Now, a lot of you guys might be wondering where I'm going with this. What could possibly be the one thing that we have to have that's going to help us get through any SHTF situation? Am I talking about my faith again? Am I talking about a particular item? Am I talking about a concept? No, none of those things. What I wanted to touch on today, guys, is something that I think is really going to help us in any type situation that we are presented with. And it's the one thing that I think is going to be more important than any item that we can prep. And in many ways, it's going to be a lot more important than any skills that we've even acquired. That thing is going to be critical thinking outside of the box. I think that is going to be absolutely crucial to you being able to survive in an SHTF and you being able to thrive in an SHTF type situation. So, in any one of these types of scenarios that we're presented with, whether it is a natural disaster, whether it is a war type event, whether it is, just a absolute collapse of the economy, which a lot of us sort of see on the horizon, we are going to have to be able to think on our feet, and we're going to have to be able to think outside of the box, and we're also going to have to be able to pivot in these types of situations. So, how do we sort of begin to build upon our critical thinking skills? How do we better evolve those and develop those? Well, one of the things that I wanted to share with you guys right up front is I feel like the preparedness community, out of all of the communities out there, we are much better equipped in this arena than we think we are, because we do spend so much time researching things for ourselves. We spend a lot of time learning from others in the community. We spend a lot of times not looking at things at face value, but really digging behind them and seeing how they really truly are, looking at everything from a different angle. And I think that alone is going to serve us better in a type of event that we face, because a lot of us, I think most of us, are critical thinkers by nature. So I think that we are already in a good position. But in order to get even better at this skill, one of the things that we have to do is we have to be willing and we have to be comfortable with looking at different scenarios, going over them in our minds, going over how we would respond in those types of events, and really not just taking that thing and thinking that we have already figured it out and then sort of setting it on a shelf. So that is one thing that I want us to get away from and guard against, because I think there's a lot of us that get to this point in the community where we have already talked about something enough, or we've thought about it enough, and we've drilled for that thing and planned for it. So we think that we already have the solution in play. We already have the answer. That can actually trip you up and get you into trouble, because as many of you know, nothing ever works out or happens the way that we, naturally expect it to, right? So there are a lot of things that can come out of left field. There are always these curveballs. And so we have to understand how to pivot and be ready for those types of situations. And so one of the other things that I wanted to mention is that I feel like another way that we can kind of get into a better position, the people that are most prepared for any type of event. A lot of us live in more of a sheltered lifestyle, myself included. So I haven't experienced a lot of these different intense type situations. But I think our first responders, I think the people who have actually helped during hurricane cleanups and aftermath of that, who've actually rescued people, who've actually been up close and personal with death, people who have lived through combat zones, those people are already going to have a better understanding of how they are going to respond in those situations. So we have to understand as people that we have two responses to fear when we are put into a type of situation. We either will fight or we will flight, right? So you will either fight in that situation or you will try to get yourself out and run away. And how you are going to respond, you may think that you know how you're going to respond, and you may be completely wrong, because we also have that ability to sort of get a deer in the headlights look and freeze up. So the only way to get past that, I think, is to begin to go over these scenarios, like I mentioned, regularly, and also to utilize those resources that we have at our disposal now. So we have people like this in the community. Many of us probably are friends with people like this. So don't be afraid to reach out to them, to ask them the tough questions, to get their gauge their responses on different things, how they reacted the first time they were around a situation like this, how they have evolved in their learning. I think this might even be a great video for those of you guys in the community that have already gone through a lot of these types of situations, to do a video response to and share with us that knowledge, that firsthand experience, so that we can get a better idea. Now, obviously, we don't know exactly how we're going to react in that situation, but it can help better prepare us. Another thing I think that we need to do is, if we know that we have an area that we're weak in our preparedness, there might be something that we know is a trigger for us and we don't respond well to it anyhow. We need to work on pushing ourselves outside of our comfort zone and really trying to push past some of those things now. So for me, I'm going to give you guys an example. One of my triggers is blood. I know this about myself. I know that when I see it, I begin to shut down. My body's response is to shut down. I begin to lose my hearing. I begin to go into a mode where I'm going to pass out. And so I have had to begin to watch more of those things that are a little bit more gory, that are outside of my comfort zone. I've, whether it is, watching a doctor type of ER show, or something that is going to put you outside of your comfort zone, whether it is going and getting that first aid training, which I think we all should be doing anyhow. That is another thing that I have done. I think that we have to build ourselves up to that stuff mentally. And I know it's not the same thing as actually experiencing it, but it gets us a few steps closer to that type of a situation and better builds us up. The other thing that we can do is, access all of the different things that we have access to now, whether that is movies that we can watch to help us get better ideas about different events and responses, whether that is reading books, whether they are fictional or non-fictional. One of the greatest series, in my opinion, is One Second After. I know a lot of people have mentioned that book in the community, but it really gets you an understanding of what things would be like if society completely collapsed and we were in that type of a situation, the kind of events, the kind of people that you would be interacting with as well. And one of the things I think that we have to do, especially as the Christians in the community, is we always want to think the best of others. We always want to care for others. We always want to help others. But we are going to have to understand that if things got really dire, if things got really bad, we would not be able to just put ourselves into a situation where we are just handing everything out the door, where we are interacting with people we do not know without using caution, where we are, putting ourselves into more vulnerable situations. We can already see that violence and crime are beginning to escalate, and things that we didn't think would ever happen before are already beginning to happen. So as we see this now, and things are not even as bad as they could get or might get or will get, we need to understand that everybody out there is not somebody that we're going to be able to help or interact with. We're going to have to better protect ourselves and our families in those types of situations. So these are just some things that I have thought of. I'd love to hear what you guys' thoughts are in regards to this. I think critical thinking, being able to pivot, I think thinking outside the box in any type of situation is really going to help us be better prepared for any type of event that we encounter. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. Please comment down below. And if you guys have gained something from this video today, please give me a like, share, and subscribe. And remember to pray, prep, and put God first. God bless.